Hari Om, Jay Sri Radhe, Har Har, Mahadev, Sri Ramakrishna, Namo Namah. Today I get to create this interview conversation with Seeta from Hindu Academy. And well, how everything happened was like this. I started checking on YouTube interesting conversation lectures from different intellectuals and spiritual people, and I found out this Hindu Academy, and I was like so surprised, like, wow, this is something I want to meet them like properly and to ask questions regarding to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa that personally I have it as one of my Shiksha Gurus. I feel him very, very strongly, and through the books and studies, I realize many things that I will be explaining on this episode. So I want to warmly welcome you, Seeta, for having a time here for us. And I have so many questions that I am pretty sure the people outside and the other side of the screen will be like, wow, that is a good question, and I'm interested on this topic. So thank you very much for staying here today with me.
No, thank you very much for having me, and it'll be lovely to explore this topic of spirituality, the personality of Sri Ramakrishna, who is a vibrant spiritual dynamo, really.
Yes, I saw as I told you earlier, that I saw to your father, Jai Dakhani, videos, and the way he express, the way he speak, you know, he made me feel like I was watching a video of a proper philosopher from the philosopher that I am still loving very much from the 200 years ago, 300 years ago. They were so passionate and living every single word that they say. He expressed so beautifully. And I saw so many of like the image of Ramakrishna blueprint on him when he speak and he move, like in some of the pictures that I have seen, like it was like so beautiful. That's why I start digging on your YouTube channel in Hindu Academy, everything. Where is the contact, how I can contact them? So yes, I'm very glad with that. And tell us a little bit about you. Like, I would like to also know what is your role now in Hindu Academy. What are you doing nowadays with all this knowledge?
Sure. I mean, thank you very much for having me on today, and it's lovely to meet you and to see somebody who is so deeply passionate about spirituality. I mean, my own personal background is, obviously, I was the luckiest girl in the world to have Jay Lakhani as my dad, and I grew up in a very spiritual household. I had parents who sort of really brought me up in a very spiritual way, and I was brought up with the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, which I found to be just part of my natural everyday, day-to-day routine as a child. But as I grew up, I began to realize that there is something deeply powerful about these personalities, and I could see how much they really inspired and drove my dad to do the work that he was doing. And, you know, a lot of the time when I was growing up, my dad would be literally rushing from here to there, going to all different places across the country, giving lectures on Hinduism, presenting it to school children, presenting it to university students, going to church halls. He would go all over the country presenting beautiful ideas of spirituality and Hinduism, especially influenced by the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. However, we were not there to sort of establish a new sectarian movement. Dad was very, very keen to make sure that we present a very comprehensive, non-sectarian understanding of Hinduism and religion to the host nation, to the UK, because the problem is many people in the UK have many misunderstandings about what Hinduism is all about. They think it's the caste system, they think it's about cows, they think it's about polytheism, there is a belief in many gods. So my dad went about the country for 35 years going and explaining what Hinduism is all about at a deeper spiritual level, that it is not polytheism, it is not holy cow, it is not caste system. It's basically telling us that there is something deeply powerful and divine behind this crass materialistic world. And if we are able to shape the views of children and young people that there is something deeper to our life beyond a purely materialistic way of living, then we can really sow the seeds of spirituality in the future generations. And even if they grow up to not be Hindu or not even necessarily remember that they had this talk from Dad when they were growing up, if it can sow the seeds of spirituality, it can really foster a very deeper understanding of what life should be like and how it can be so much enriched by a spiritual understanding of our world. I'd be interested to hear your background and how you also made the transition from living in Chile to living in India, and what inspired this sort of change in your lifestyle and where you lived.
Well, wonderful words. I was traveling through all what you explained, and I didn't knew that it was like such a massive work that what he did. This was based 100% in the UK, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, my dad was also, he became the Hindu teacher at Eton College, which for many years. And we also produced resources and textbooks. So I worked with Dad. I was very lucky to have the opportunity to work with Dad to produce 2 textbooks on Hinduism, one for primary level and one for secondary level, which are available on our website and free to download, which provide a very kind of comprehensive understanding of Hinduism for children and slightly older.
Yes. In the description of the video, everybody can find your links so they can go and download and to see also the videos on your channel. I am not very good in explaining about my own trip on all this, but if I can tell in short, basically I born in a transition time in my country where early 80s, and was a very difficult time from where my country was coming from, because there was a military intervention for about 20 years, and was a lot of oppression in terms of culture and music and literature and everything. So I grew up in the right time where, like, kind of to say, democracy started again ruling. And I'm not speaking from a political point of view. I am very far from politics, okay, but this is historical. And from that time, many like new bands, writers, arts, performance, many things were start happening, like on an intellectual level for the country. And I grew up on that atmosphere, in an atmosphere that was middle class, where people was fighting for the future, or we will go full working class, or we will go to the side of we can do something bigger on an intellectual level as a band, writer, or artist, or something like that, in order to maybe to have a little bit more interesting lifestyle. Yeah. So I grew up in the middle of this, and this create on me the ideas of thinking much more than the common fellows of my school, to say. And at the same time, my father, several decades before, he was traveling through so many places, Europe, America, here and there, and he met and learned some things about the Indian gurus and the Hindu philosophy on Bhagavad Gita and these kind of things. So this background was there when I had some questions. I had like Bhagavad Gita and textbook like this to dig answers, about the mind, the soul, God, this kind of thing. So it was my support, and I keep growing up, and Then I started my own process when I was about 14 years old, as far as I remember. That I turned completely to vegetarianism, and I started doing meditation and pranayama and yoga and all this kind of thing. I was very interested. So there was some kind of samskar coming, some blueprint coming from somewhere. And then after I moved to Europe, about 15 or 18 years, then having like my second part of life, where I have all my philosophy, but also I was into a very European lifestyle, and I get to the point that I say, okay, I keep growing here, making some money and living my daily life just like this, just to turn old, and then to say, okay, this was my life, you know. I think I am not ready for that. You know, I need something else. And as the universe work, there some crises start coming to my life that start moving the ground, and I say, okay, I have nothing more to do here. And so maybe this is the time I can open my wings and to fly, literally, and I go to India. I came to India, where I live actually, and I keep my studies and all the teachings and learning from cross traditions. But the main pillar of my spiritual journey is on bhakti. But in a bhakti that is, I can say, similar to what Sri Ramakrishna did, or Sri Vijay Krishna Goswami did, or in my lineage, or Sri Radharaman Sharandas did. A bhakti that's very open, very kind, no sectarian. That is a bhakti that is based on the real understanding of love, and that God is in the heart of every single entity, even into the stones. So this moved me very much, because the last master that I get in contact in terms of studying was your Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Was the last one, you know. Not because I didn't knew him, but I had some misunderstanding on him, based on sectarian ideas that I took from books that spoke kind of ill on him. So I had this thing, and in one moment, I live in Vrindavan, by the way. I was here sitting doing my sadhana, and I started thinking, so what about this Ramakrishna character? You know, it's one of the biggest. Is recognized one of 64 masters of India. So what about him? You know? And I started getting to the books and describing the Ramakrishna Gospel was the thing that changed my mind. It was like, wow. And I will not. I don't feel ashamed to say that in some of the pages, like Ramakrishna produced tears in my eyes, because it was like so much beauty and love that it was like, oh God, I have been missing this all my whole life, you know. So, well, because of that, it came Vivekananda, came your channel, etc. Many things came like together on that trip. That is basically what, in short, what I can explain about me. But honestly, I'm not so much interested about this part of the story. I want to know about your part of the story and your journey. Tell us a little bit about the background of your father. I hear that he was a professor or work in science or something like that.
That's right. So my dad was academically very excellent, and he went to university with a passion for understanding physics and doing a degree in physics. And then he specialized in a branch of physics which was really fascinating, called quantum mechanics. And with quantum mechanics, he found there are tremendous synergies with what ancient Hindu philosophy has been talking about for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It tells us things about the universe which the normal classical science is not prepared to accept, because normal classical science basically tells us that the foundation to our universe is little lumps of matter, that the foundation to our physical universe is little lumps of matter, is just physical. But what quantum mechanics is telling us is something dramatically different, because it says that the foundation to our universe, if you go right down to the subatomic level, you don't find little particles of matter. You find probabilities, which I think in physics is referred to as a wave function. You find probabilities, and it's only when these probabilities come into the presence of a conscious observer that they finally become quantifiable and they become measurable. And that is how the physical universe as we know it comes into existence, because it can only be this way in the presence of a conscious observer. The universe that we know is actually a probability in existence. This is my dad's words. He says the universe is a probability in existence, and consciousness permeates the very essence of our universe. And so we're finding these words, existence and consciousness, cropping up at the heart of physics, which is the most physical of all physical sciences.
Wow, wonderful.
Look at what the ancient Hindus said. They said the closest words that we can use to describe the nature of reality is asti, consciousness, ati. Asti, existence, consciousness, bhati. Existence and consciousness are the closest words that we as human beings can use to try and make sense of reality. This is what ancient Hindu philosophy has been saying for a very long time. And, you know, scientists fob it off and say, no, it's nonsense. It's all little particles of matter. But quantum is saying, look, the words existence and consciousness are appearing here. So we find this tremendous synergy across science and spirituality. And Dad dedicated his life to finding these links across these two seemingly very different disciplines, and recognizing that they are all ultimately trying to do the same thing. We are all trying to make sense of what the heck is all of this.
Yes.
And we are fundamentally coming to very similar conclusions as to how we can make sense of it all. So that's why I think he was perhaps guided to step into understanding the realm of quantum, but also having this deep love of spirituality. So like you, in a way, he came across firstly the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, and he actually read the complete works of Swami Vivekananda in Gujarati. That's our native tongue. And, you know, he was completely blown away by it. And funnily enough, he's told me many times while he was in his university degree and he was supposed to be studying, you know, for his exams about quantum physics and all of that, he spent so much of his time absorbed in the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, and he found this is absolutely captivating. And that really shaped what his life's purpose was all about, to find this beautiful synergy between these two very different disciplines. One starts from a very metaphysical perspective, one starts from a very physical perspective, but they are both ultimately heading on the same trajectory. And he was really hoping that there would come a time where science and spirituality can merge in a way. But the difficulty is that the scientists of today are so fixated on the realm of matter that we don't want to let go of this materialistic paradigm. So even though we are finding these discoveries at quantum mechanics level, it's difficult for the scientists to let go of the materialistic paradigm, which has been the norm for so many years. That's the challenge, really.
There is something to still evolve in human consciousness. That is the relation with God, equal religion, and science as the paradigm of nowadays. You know, so I remember these words from your father. I hear in one of the videos he was speaking something about this. And I remember that it was over 20 years ago. I was in university, And there I attend to the quantics physics classes. And there was a very prominent scientist who would give the lectures. And in one moment, he's explaining the beginning of the universe, how everything starts based on what science has nowadays. And when he was speaking, he spoke such a things that I was feeling like, come on, are you reading Srimad Bhagavatam or what? You know? And in one moment he said, any question? And I raise my hand and say, you know, I am so captivated for this. It's so interesting what you are saying, because I hear echoes from the ancient Hindu text. I say, I didn't went like so specific. You know, by the way, this, for the ones who are interested, this is in the 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. They speak about this and the atomic theory, and it was crazy stuff. You know, and I say that to him, and I was so surprised. His answer say, you know, Hinduism and science is not so far away each other. And he started giving me the measures of the universe and time based on the Vedas. I was like, what? What is this? The man was a genius. And he gave all this, and he say, as a conclusion, he say, it will came the time that science must to recognize the truth. If the science is truth and the Vedas supposed to be truth, they cannot be contrary. They must to met in one point. They will fuse. But for this stage, I think humankind needs some time yet for scientists to say, okay, we can accept maybe some religion point of view. Let's check what you have there. And religious people to say, okay, science maybe is not so evil. You know, they have something good, and maybe we can check what they have. And when in a future, when something like that will open, then people will realize, come on, we have been fighting out of ignorance because we don't want to see, you know, what the other has to offer. But who was one of this quantum physics writer? He say, there will be a time where science and religion will meet, because if they both are truth, then they should meet. It's not the way out. But okay, I want to switch a little bit from the topic. I will do my first question I have here. This is from your own path, how you have been living the path and seeing through your examples and Vivekananda and Ramakrishna, Paramahamsa, etc. From your path, how do you understand the relationship between bhakti and spiritual realization?
Yes, I think Bhakti Yoga is one of the very, very, very significant pathways of making spiritual progress in Hinduism. And the reason why is because, you know, the whole purpose of our spiritual journey is to touch base with the metaphysical underpinning to our universe, which is divinity itself. However, so many of us will struggle to do this if we think of this metaphysical reality as a shapeless, formless principle. If we close our eyes and try to focus on it, our minds are likely to just draw a blank because we don't have anything to focus on. However, the ancient Hindus were very clever. We recognized that if this metaphysical reality is truly infinite, then surely we can think of this infinite in many different ways, including personifying this metaphysical reality, giving it a name, a shape, a form. And it doesn't even need to be just one particular name, one particular shape and form. We can give thousands upon thousands of names and forms to this divinity if it is truly infinite. And that is the beautiful thing about Hinduism, is we have hundreds and thousands of names and forms that we give to the divine, and the choice is left up to us as to which of those names and forms we feel the greatest connection to. And when we have chosen that name and form of God that we choose to love, we can form a relationship of love with a personality. And the beautiful thing is, Dad has said this on many of his videos, the innate blessing, in a way, of the human condition is that we innately know how to love. You don't need to go to some top university, learn some top degree to understand how to love. Even a little baby, a little child innately knows how to love. So why don't we utilize this skill that we have as human beings to love, to form a relationship of love with a personal divinity, a form of God that we love? And that helps us to feel a bit closer to this metaphysical reality. So the path of Bhakti Yoga has served so many millions of people on their spiritual journey to help them recognize that this is a wonderful, perhaps considered by many to be one of the easier pathways of making spiritual progress, to build a relationship of love with the divine in this way. And it would be interesting to hear about your journey into Bhakti Yoga and why you feel particularly drawn to it.
Interesting, and thanks for your answer. How I see the things, I always try to use the filter of what the previous masters have been giving as the basic pillars for what spirituality is. So in somehow to be sure that I am not imagining things, I have such a deep spiritual understanding, but maybe it's just imagination, like in the case of schizophrenia, schizophrenic people, they imagine so many things, but these are not real. No? So I try to study and to find what are the basic patterns that the masters have been giving us instructions, and from there to walk. I see Bhakti as a very easy and complex phenomenon at the same time, because Bhakti, devotion, we can translate as devotion. Devotion is based on love, but people, truly people without a proper spiritual education to understand the concept, the things, people truly know what love is. So this is the first thing that I see in Bhakti. We speak about love and devotion, but people know what is love, selfless love, selfless devotion. I am praying to get the bread every day. Father, give me bread every day. Give me house, give me the car. Father, please kill my enemy. Father this, Father that, give me power. Is this truly devotion, or this is a business? So in that way, I think, I can be totally wrong, but I truly believe that Bhakti is a very easy way, in the way that, devotion and love, this is easy path. But to truly realize the thing, that is very different. I remember the Leela, the story of Ramakrishna inviting to Vivekananda Swami, saying, go, the mother is waiting, go ask what you need. Ask that you need money because you have no food. I go and ask. And what he did inside, your father explained this Leela, wonderful. When I heard it was wow, this is great. So this is exactly what I mean with Bhakti. Bhakti is so deep and so easy at the same way, but it depends on the degree of spiritual development is what we will get. For example, as a very newbie on the area, I can go, I am in Vrindavan, I go to the shop, I buy some Gopal Krishna or something like that, I walk around with him, I pretend that I give food and I sing a song, and then I get back to Delhi or to Europe or to America, and Gopal, it's like a decoration, it's not anymore Bhakti. So this is what I see as a difference. When there is a true understanding, Bhakti becomes something very, very big and non-sectarian, because normally Bhakti is very taken on a sectarian way, and this is a very wrong understanding. My Gauranga Mahaprabhu, when he was traveling through south of India, he visited many areas that was Shaivist. In many Shiva temples, he was not singing, we must to sing, Krishna, you are all wrong. No, He sing the names of Shiva, and the Durga Ma, and wherever he went, he adopted that way because he see his Supreme God in all of them, or all of them is his own God with different clothes, to say, So this realization, I feel that is the difficult part, to realize this universality, where my gurus or my masters are just expansion of the Supreme Master, that is Brahman or Bhagavan, as you want to take it, because all of that is actually the same at the same time. So that is a little bit of how I see Bhakti, and why I think Bhakti is so deep is, I agree absolutely with Ramakrishna, Yes, I can go to merge to Brahman, but please, I don't want that. I want to sing the name of my Holy Mother forever. This is my stage. I love to do that, like Hanumanji. He can go to merge in Brahman or to go back to Shiva. But no, he's much more nectar and love in saying Ram, 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 than to find my own peace by myself, on my own bubble. I feel a little bit that about that. Sri Ramakrishna said, as many faith, so many paths. This is so interesting and very universal. I would like to ask you to explain this, because this is so beautiful.
Yes, I mean, this is the heart of what Sri Ramakrishna does. I think he sort of emerged on the Indian subcontinent at a time when Hindus themselves were feeling a bit scattered and confused with regards to how Hinduism has so many different strands, so many different spiritual approaches, which is a beautiful thing. But it makes us wonder, do they all actually lead to the same conclusion? Do they lead to different destinations? We were feeling very confused. But the beautiful thing about the personality of Sri Ramakrishna is that he actually, rather than it being like a diplomatic statement or a political statement that, all of them are fine, they're all right, he actually went through the main ways of making spiritual progress that were available to him in India. And he actually said, let me try out this approach for myself. He obviously had this tremendous love for the Mother Goddess, and he was able to actually see the Mother Goddess living and breathing next to him all day, every day. He used to put his hand under her nose and feel her breath. And then he would sometimes walk around to the image of the Mother Goddess and say, it was the middle of a hot sunny day, and he would ask her, oh Mother, why can I not see your shadow? And she said, well, you have created me in this way. You create a shadow so that I have a shadow. It shows such tremendous spiritual power, because what it's really telling us is that we often think that, God creates man in his image. This is something that we've heard many times, but in Hinduism, we actually recognize that we as human beings fashion God in the way that we wish to see him, we wish to see her, and they are all different expressions of that same one divinity. So obviously Ramakrishna's heart was captured by the Mother Goddess. And how refreshing to have somebody who lived in recent times who was able to experience God not just as a man, because we're so used to thinking of God as a man with a long beard sitting in the clouds somewhere. How refreshing to have the idea of thinking of God as the divine feminine. So this was obviously his love. However, he was also able to experience God as the form of Ram, as the form of Krishna. He was even able to experience, the same point of spiritual enlightenment through the paths of Christianity and Islam. He vividly describes how he saw the image of Jesus, and he even described such vivid detail. He had a bit of a flat nose, he said. He merged into him, and which is a tremendous experience that has not been done by anybody in the history of humanity. Which prophet or saint has experienced the divine in such a variety of different ways? Usually, if we're lucky, we come across prophets and saints who have experience the divine in just one way. And we think that that is a tremendous thing. And of course it is. But look at the powerhouse of the personality of Sri Ramakrishna, who was able to experience the divine in so many different ways. And it wasn't even just restricted to various forms of God. He was able to go into the deepest of meditation, experience the whole philosophy of Advaita from a very experiential perspective. In fact, it's almost like the Mother Goddess sent teachers to him to say, teach him this, teach him the Advaita approach. And Ramakrishna would struggle because he loved the Mother Goddess, and he was presented with the teacher Totapuri, who was telling him, focus within yourself, go deep within yourself. And he says, no, but I keep seeing the image of the mother in my mind. What kind of a grown-up man is thinking about his own mother at this stage? He says, top her, go past her, go deeper. And he was able to experience the divine from the perspective of Advaita, as well as all of these different forms of the divine. What personality in the history of humanity has been able to do that? And this is why Sri Ramakrishna is the best example as to how different spiritual pathways do ultimately lead to the same destination. He says, I have been there, I have experienced it for myself. And what a beautiful role model for interfaith dialogue that the world so desperately needs.
Fantastic. Ramakrishna point of view, from your point of view, what is the, to say, Vedantic point of view or vision of Ramakrishna? Was Advaita, Vishishta Advaita? What was his, or how? I know that it's not possible to put inside a box, it's impossible, but in somehow, what is closer to what Ramakrishna saw?
Well, this is the thing. I think it is all-encompassing, because in our minds, we put things into boxes, as you have said so rightly. We have a habit of saying, this path we call this, and we give it this particular name and this particular practice. This practice, we give it this name and it's got this kind of set of practices. But ultimately, it is all heading to the same destination. It is the same one divinity, no matter what spiritual path we use, no matter what we call it. And I think really that captures the essence of what Sri Ramakrishna is all about. He is not there to promote any one particular path. He is there to say all of them are correct, all of them, in whatever way we start off. They may look very different to each other. They may look very opposite and contradictory to each other. But follow your path. Once you have chosen it, follow your path to its conclusion, and you will find a tremendous reconciliation at a deeper experiential level. And a wonderful example, I must say, that my dad often used to describe this is he used something called the circle experiment. He said, imagine if everyone is standing in a circle and the objective is for all of us to reach the center of the circle. I am standing here and you are standing opposite me. For me to reach the center, I must take 2 steps north. That is my prescription for reaching the center. But if say that to you, that the prescription is to go 2 steps north. If you took 2 steps north from where you are standing, you would end up out the door. You would move very far away from the center of the circle. For you, your prescription is to say, I must take 2 steps south. And then if we talk about our prescriptions, I say, my way is to go 2 steps north, and you say, no, my way is to go 2 steps south. We see tremendous conflict. We see absolutely no reconciliation whatsoever. But what does Hinduism say? It says, start from where you are, focus on where you are. Don't undermine anyone else's approach. Just focus on your approach. So what happens when I focus on my approach and you focus on your approach? We find that we both get closer to the center. But not only are we just closer to the center, we are also closer to each other. And this is one of the key litmus tests for making spiritual progress. How are you genuinely feeling that tremendous sense of unity and reconciliation with other people on other paths which seem completely contradictory to you? Can you still feel that sense of reconciliation with them at a deeper level, this is a sign of true spiritual progress. So as we get closer to the center, we also feel a greater affinity with everybody else who is also on different spiritual pathways to us. And I think this is really the essence of what Sri Ramakrishna teaches, is that all ways end up at the same destination. Interesting to hear your thoughts on it too.
Yes, interesting. I would like to ask something that I feel like is very, very specific and important in terms of spiritual path, what Ramakrishna had been opening and showing. What is Ramakrishna follower, Vivekananda follower, they achieve to say seeds in their path. If there is understood like that, maybe it's different. They achieve perfection in their path. What is their destination? They fuse in Brahman, they go to Brahman, they disappear like Nirvana. What happened for you guys when you get to the final station? We are here. What happened there?
Yeah, you know what? This actually reminds me of a beautiful story by Sri Ramakrishna himself, talking about different kinds of spiritual personalities. And if I remember it correctly, apologies if I make an error, but from what I remember of this beautiful story, it says that there were 4 friends and they were walking in a forest. And all of a sudden, they came across an enclosure in the forest, like a round circular wall. And there was lots of colourful sort of lights and music going on behind this enclosure. And naturally, these 4 friends were very curious, what is behind the wall? So the wall was quite tall. So, one friend said, let me go up and have a look. So they helped each other and he was able to climb up the wall. And what he saw was absolutely mind-blowing. He was completely amazed by what he saw, that he just disappeared into the other side of the enclosure. And the rest of the friends were like, where has he gone? What's happened to him? I want to know what's happened on the other side of the wall. So another friend says, okay, let me go. Let me have a look. So the other friends helped him up. He climbed up the wall. He too was amazed by what he saw. But he didn't just jump over the other side. He started singing and dancing and dancing around the wall. He was so enamored, so happy by what he saw. And then eventually he disappeared onto the other side of the enclosure. And the other 2 friends are growing increasingly curious. What is on the other side of this wall? So, the 3rd friend said, let me climb up and have a look. So the 4th friend helped him up. He climbed on top of the wall and he loved what he saw, but yet he thought, I cannot leave my one friend on the other side of the wall. And even though it was very difficult for him, he felt this tremendous desire to want to jump over to the other side of the wall. He straddled the wall. He held out his hand and lifted his friend up so that he too could experience what was on the other side of the wall. And this is a beautiful example of the different spiritual personalities that we come across in humanity. The first friend who disappeared are those tremendous, powerful personalities who have had spiritual experience but don't make a fuss about it. They just merge into the divine without making a fuss anywhere else. The second personality who saw what was on the other side of the enclosure but did a big song and dance about it are tremendous personalities like Mirabai and Chaitanya, who have experienced the divine but make such a beautiful, they're so inspired that they sing and dance in the name of God and they cannot help themselves, and then they too merge into the divine. Who is this third personality who was trying to not let himself fall into the other side of the enclosure, but felt the need to help his 4th friend to also experience it? These are the powerful avatars, the powerful incarnations of God who make the decision to not merge into the divine. They serve a tremendous purpose to humanity, to lift the rest of us up, to really guide us towards that same spiritual experience. And this I truly find to be the category of personalities like Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. These are incredible personalities who've chosen to not simply merge into the divine, but to help lift the rest of us up so that we too have a chance of looking on the other side of the enclosure and feeling truly inspired by what we see. I think it's a beautiful story. I hope
it's very beautiful. I didn't hear, but while explaining the first and the second, I realized, oh, yes, this is coming. Oh, so beautiful, so beautiful. In your opinion, what do you recommend for cultivating inner spirituality to live as, for example, your father, you living in the UK, many practitioners are living in different countries, where it's quite possible that the environment maybe is not so spiritual. So how you recommend them to keep their consciousness open and not to get immersed with with what is going around that is normally against the spiritual path, against like this,
Yeah.
Because it's part of the story. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I do. I think that's a really beautiful question. I'd be really interested to hear your perspective on it as well. But from what I've learnt from Dad is basically my dad was a householder. He had a family, and yet he was deeply spiritual. And I think what we can learn, as well as if we look at personalities like Sri Ramakrishna, I think it's deeply significant that he was also married, even though he is a deeply powerful spiritual personality. And what this sort of suggests to us is that, to lead a normal life, to live as a householder, doesn't mean that you are terrible, doesn't mean that you're doing things wrong. What it tells us is you have a slightly different approach to making spiritual progress, to, say, for example, a monk or somebody who has decided not to engage in worldly life. But what we can learn, I think, from Sri Ramakrishna is he tells us, make sure we take time in our everyday life to sit in solitude. Make sure we have this opportunity as part of our everyday lives to sit in solitude and reflect, and don't forget our spiritual aspirations, because the danger is we get so caught up in the day-to-day, the mundane of our everyday lives, that it's very easy for the days, weeks, months to rush by without us having thought of anything deeper. So taking time to engage in contemplation, engage in some regular spiritual practice can go a long way, not only just in our spiritual progress, but also to help us deal with how painful life itself can actually be, how stormy, how choppy it can be. If we have a spiritual discipline that we can hold on to, and my dad often said this to little children, he said, you know what, if it's too complicated to sit and do a puja or whatever, and you don't really feel like it, this is a really simple spiritual practice that you can do. Every night before you go to sleep, just say the name of the God that you love 3 times. That's it. It only takes a matter of seconds. But if you keep up this practice, you will find that that name of God that you have been saying every night before you go to sleep will truly hold your hand during the challenges and difficult times of life, because they are going to hit all of us. It is inevitable that suffering will come and hit all of us in our lives. This is what our philosophy tells us. This is what Buddha teaches us. Suffering is inevitable, but this provides us that inner strength that we didn't even know that we had, to help us through these challenges and to also hold on to the divine through all of the challenges that life presents. It would be lovely to hear your perspective as well.
Thank you. See, I realized that this world is as material and temporary as is transcendental. Both things are happening at the same time. It's like a layer over layer. And everything that we do here, actually, it has a divine purpose. And we are developing ourselves through all these experiences. It's necessary to. There is a story of a Christian monk that a young monk came to him, like, Father, I want to retire from material world. I want to give my life to Jesus and to be a monk here in the church. And the father say, well, that's very good, but first, as you are young, first go to the world, live the life, see the life, experiment the life properly, and when you are ready, you come back. So I feel like this reality, and I feel like to not be heavy saying, oh, like this master say, and this granta, these books are saying. Just speaking on a very personal point of view, I see that everything that is going on in this universe is all spiritual, actually. This universe, it was not created by me, as the character here, not by my neighbor for sure, and not by my mama, no papa. So who created this? It was God. We can say, to use in a very easy way, God created all this, then all is his creation. And if God is divine, then everything is divine. It's natural. It's 2 + 2 is 4. So I see that everything is spiritual. Actually, everything is a stage of spiritualism that is going on, and we are developing ourselves in this path, and growing and walking on this path, and learning through lives over lives are coming, and we have more and more experiences until we realize, okay, maybe my time for the basic life is gone, and I want to dedicate my life to something that is superior, and that I truly believe that is the destination of myself as a soul, or as a mind, as maybe Buddhists will take it. Regarding to the social class that we live in, speaking about like you are married or you are a monk, honestly, I don't see any difference, because I see and I know very spiritual people who are married people. They do family life, they go to job, and they are so intense and deep in their devotion. Yeah? As I know also monks that's supposed to be holy that are not so holy. You understand what I mean? So the color of the clothes that you are using, or if you have a small room or a palace, will not make a difference. The difference in the heart, I believe so. It's like money, Bad people with money do bad things. Good people with money do good things. So everything depends on our state of consciousness. This reality is spiritual indeed, but to get to the vision of it, yes, it needs a little bit of, I think, sadhana or practice or meditation to realize that on a correct point of view, because the shadow of this will be, oh, everything is spiritual. I am so free, let's go party, let's go drugs, everything is spiritual, okay. And this is what happened in the 60s and 70s with the hippies, LSD, this is a spiritual trance, and all kind of nonsense. It's not that, but through meditation and contemplation, this reality opened that actually everything is divine. Everything is divine. And Ramakrishna will say, like, Divine Mother is everywhere. Whatever I see is my Divine Mother. And I think this is the final thing. Everything is actually God who is playing and interacting with us. And we're part of the role play here. And we do the best that we can with our abilities that haven't been given as well. Even these abilities are not ours. The capacity of understanding, intelligence, all this is our given. As Vivekananda Swami asked to Mother, please give me intelligence. I'm not thinking about money now. Give me understanding, peace, deepness, meditation. Give me this power of understanding, Viveka. So I humbly see the reality from that point of view. That's why when I hear about Vivekananda also, I get very, very, wow. I say, so inspiring. And Seeta, I have tons of questions for you, and I am very, very happy to be speaking with you and to hear your experience. You are very brilliant. I feel like these blessings of Vivekananda through your father to you is there. I feel that. I see this spiritual consciousness is definitely there. But we have been going over 1 hour, and I don't want to take all your morning. Surely you are a very busy person.
I mean, I must also take this opportunity to thank you, because you're a tremendously spiritual personality. I can really feel that. And I really hope that, you know, you can continue on your journey and you continue to feel uplifted and inspired by these personalities. And it would be lovely to work on something again in the future with you. And it was a real privilege to speak to you. So thank you.
I thank you very much, and I really hope that many people will be able to hear and to listen to this interview podcast, as I don't know how to call it, but to this video, and to get inspiration for their own benefit, because this is what our masters have been creating, giving a very big accent that we must work also for the benefit of others. And I truly believe that. I thank you very much, honestly, very much for your time and for being so nice and open to say, okay, let's do it. Let's go. Zoom call. When? Where is the link? I was like, wow, this is blessing. I thank you for that. And to Hindu Academy, I thank for the videos that you are sending daily, all the work that is behind, and the people who is supporting also. I send my appreciation, and well, I hope really to have you back as sooner as possible to continue and to speak on this topic. I have a few more questions for you. Well,
thank you very much. Thank you. It's lovely to speak to you. Thank you.